Hello, everyone. It's Tiffany here. Today, it's an important day because we're going to talk about some things that we need to do when we are working on releasing astral entities. So, I've been observing, and once you are a healer that does this full time, you see a lot of these waves and cycles that the collective go through. And I feel that today would be really helpful to talk about astral entity removals. And so, the first thing that is the most important to understand if you are struggling with lower astral entity is that it doesn't mean that you are a bad person. It doesn't mean that you are any less than a good person. It doesn't really have a correlation of how bright you are or how beautiful you are as a starseed or light worker or earth angels, because sometimes we are in situations or environment that made ourselves more susceptible to the interferences or attachment of these astral entities. So that's the first thing I really want to bring forth is doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong, doesn't mean that you're a horrible person, not at all. Myself and other fellow light workers and healers that I work with, sometimes we struggle with these things, and so we have to deal with them. So here's some tips that might be helpful for you, whether if it's you encountering later in the future or you're encountering now, or maybe you are a healer working with other people as well. So, as I'm doing this live, please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. I am happy to help. Sometimes you have been doing this, I've been doing this for a long time. So, I may feel that I know certain things, but I may not have said it out loud. So, I find it so helpful when people ask questions because it reminds me of certain things that I have to share. So first thing first is this video is more designed towards astral entities. So astral entities, we must understand that they are not native to this dimension. When you're dealing with astral entities, they are unwanted guests in our dimension. Remember in Lemuria, in early Lemuria, when Earth was like a garden, you don't remember having these entities. You don't remember having to deal with these beings at all. It was very beautiful, high vibrational time. And so these beings got here somehow, and it is because they are from another dimension. There are certain groups of people that are more service to self. They create rituals and they create rituals or ceremonies where they rip open the time space continuum or the fabric of time and space dimensions to invite these lower astral entities to come into our plane in exchange of giving them more power. And so light workers such as yourself are here now. And when I say light worker, that includes the witches, that includes the alchemists, the wizards as well, right? So we are here now to clean up, right, the astral realm and to clean up the astral dimension of Mother Earth to help us ascend to the new Earth a lot easier. Hi, everyone. If you're here, let me know you're here. Hi, Joyce. Nice to see you. I remember. Yes, from Washington. Really, really great. How are you doing? How is the ascension energies doing this week? Okay, so let's see. I have my notes here because I tend to talk too much about something and then go off track. So yeah, astral entity. The other thing about astral entities that you need to realize is that because they are not native in this dimension, it means that they might want you to think they're more powerful than you, but then they actually not because they're not even native in here. Like they're not even supposed to be here. So you definitely have way more power than these beings. Now, these beings are different than implants because these beings have their own consciousness. They may be a lower form of spiritual being, but they still have their own consciousness. So, when you're dealing with lower astral entities, you also have to understand that, what if I invited you, right, to a buffet and I'm like, oh, here's the buffet, and you're eating and you're really hungry. And just as you start, I'm like, you know what? Now you're done. You gotta go. Bye. I think most of us would be like, what do you mean? I want to eat more yummy food. So these lower astral entities are the same way. They kind of like, why do you want to get rid of me? I just started. So you understand why they wouldn't want to go sometimes and why they kind of sometimes fight you a little bit when you want to remove them is because of that, right? Um, so when it comes to astral entity, once you realize all these points and nature of their being, it makes them less scary. It makes you less fearful of their interferences on your life. It helps you take your power back. And yes, hi Amber, hi Valeria, hi Trinity Star and Terrence. If Hi Renea and Lars, if you have any questions that you are struggling with on this topic of astral entities, please feel free to ask during this live. And if you're catching the replay, you can just comment below because I'll reply to your comment. Cool. Now, astral entities, I find that they are very different than demonic entities. I bless your soul. I hope that you're not anybody that's dealing with demonic entities because they can be really difficult to work with. So hopefully, we're just dealing with the small guys here. And these small guys, to me, through my third eye, what I see them using my third eye is oftentimes they look like little gremlins, especially if you are dealing with the type of lower astral entities that are more interfering with your thoughts. Have you ever sat down and all of a sudden you get like the randomest, strange, negative thought, and you're like, I know for sure this is not my shadow. I know for sure this is not like me. Those are the little gremlins. There are also types of lower astral entities that sucks energy, and sometimes they look like potato bugs or like beetles or like slugs. They look like that. And you would just see them on the aura of the person. And you're like, okay, well, that's not good. We got to clean that up. Right. Other times can be a little bit more advanced than like a slug or bug that kind of like sucks like one energy center. Some of them are a little bit smarter, a little bit more advanced. They move around. They look like a little spider that moves around in the energy field. So sometimes you think you remove it, but it actually was just hiding in another energy center. So knowing what type of astral entity you are dealing with is really helpful because now you can create the more suitable or appropriate treatment plan, right, to remove it. It's like if you want to remove a squirrel, but you're using a mouse trap, it doesn't work. If you want to remove mosquitoes, but you're using like I don't know, a dog cage, it doesn't work because the mosquitoes just gonna fly out, right? So this is where a lot of people struggle with is that you might be having interference, but you don't know what is the interference. So that's the first thing that I would advise you to work on with your higher self is ask your higher self, okay, what type of lower astral entity am I dealing with? Am I dealing with those little gremlins that tells me thing and distract me in my meditation? Am I dealing with the energy suckers, or am I dealing with those ones that runs and move in the body that cause disruption in flows? I find that the one that moves around in your body usually affect your spiritual body the most. So you might be struggling with receiving light codes and you're not getting it as efficiently. That may be the reason. The other reason is that when you're doing protection, there's actually different forms of protection. There's spiritual protection, astral protection, and energy protection. So sometimes people will say, well, I'm doing my protection, Tiffany, so why is this still happening? Is I'm like, well, which protection are we doing? There's a energy protection, the astral protection, and then the spiritual protection. So those are also components that you need to look into in your spiritual practice. The other thing to look into is that, like I mentioned, if you're just joining in live, having lower astral entity, depending on the situation that you put yourself in, For example, if you're someone like me who's a spiritual worker, sometimes we put ourselves more in the battlefield of where a lot of these astral entities are infested. If you are a social worker that works a lot with, and it's hard to acknowledge this happens in humanity, people that struggle with drugs, um, people that are homeless, if you're working with people that have really aggressive mental or psychological issues, as like a social worker, a peer support worker, a therapist, if you work in a hospital, right? A nurse, a doctor, a therapist, if you work in just spaces where you know there's a lot of density, right? You can have this bright light, but if you're on a day where your immunity, spiritual immunity, is not at its strongest, it gives that space for that little interference to happen. So, number one is do not blame yourself when you do have these interferences, because it depends on your environment and your immunity. And so, your spiritual immunity also depends on your physical wellness, your emotional wellness, your mental wellness, and your spiritual wellness, right? Some days, right, you might be doing a lot of shadow work, a lot of triggers have been happening. Your spiritual immunity might be a little low, but then your physical body is very strong. Right? On those days, you can still handle it. It is on days where your physical body is low. You still have to work because you got bills to pay, kids to feed, right? You have responsibilities. And also at the same time, your spiritual body is a little low. It's in those moments of vulnerability that these guys are very smart. They are like opportunistic, right? That they can either one, cause interference. So interference are a lot easier to remove because they either on the outskirt of your aura and you can just like bounce them off with your light, or they might be a little bit deeper because they've been there longer. Now, some of us are in family with family members that struggle with these entities. And so you are dealing with these entities in your own home all the time. So it can be hard. I get it. It's really hard. So please do not blame yourself and just know that I get it. I understand it. There might be no one in your life that you can talk to about this. People might think you're crazy, or people might think, oh, if you're such a light worker, why do you struggle with this? But it's just like going camping, you know, if you go out camping, you might get mosquito bites. Sometimes it happens, but you know, we can put some calendula oil on it, some tea tree to help it heal faster. So that's really important for us to talk about. What about the 4D spiders entity? Yes, so 4D entities that looks like spiders, they sometimes can be called archons. And these are also, I'm going to talk about how to remove them because they work on a collective consciousness. So if you see one spider and if you didn't remove the second spider, that spider is going to open a portal and just bring that one spider back. So when it comes to removal, it can take time. So don't be harsh on yourself if you cannot remove them fully in one go, because it takes time, and a lot of spiritual stamina, a lot of spiritual power is like a battery to remove them. Your higher self may say right now you have a lot going on, you just don't have enough spiritual stamina and power to remove all of them at once. If you do, your physical body is going to suffer. So they might only, right, guide you, or even when you're working with masters or angels, remove what is appropriate, right, and then step by step remove all of it. So it takes time to remove these things sometimes. I'm not saying it cannot be a miracle, but just remove that self blame on yourself, right? If you ever struggle with this. Um, Sometimes, yes, Lara's a good point. A few years back, quite a few entities came and visit me, and there was a kind of lizard or reptilians that can happen as well. So these are, yeah, astral beings from another realm. Sometimes it's projected by the physical person themselves, but they definitely, you can see them. Sometimes you can even see them following people, and you're just like, oh my God, the poor soul. And yeah, we need to clean out this planet. And so, okay, What I'm teaching here is just what I use, what I teach my own students, and what have worked with me. You might be an astral witch that does things differently, but this is how I do it. So, a template. Again, everything that I share is a template. So, first thing first is you need to make sure that you cloak yourself when you begin the removal. Cloaking yourself means visualizing, feeling, invoking, and intending yourself in like a white robe where you are covered. You can visualize and intend yourself inside a mirror ball, like a disco ball, but like you're like inside the disco ball. You can also, if you work more with the air element, invoke right white fog or smoke around you, so that you become invisible to the being. Because what happens is like when you're doing the spiritual healing, this is your physical self, and let's say that's like the little um, um, I don't know, just like the being that's attached to you. When you're doing the healing, it's like a part of yourself is projected outwards, and so this part of yourself needs to be shielded. It needs to be protected, right? When you're doing the work. So make sure you cloak yourself when you do it. Cloaking also help protect and strengthen your protection, because then the entity doesn't recognize you, right, as easily. They'll kind of they will see from their perspective, they see just like a bright orb of light. They don't know that it's you. They don't know if it's an angel. They just know it's like this bright orb of light. Okay. The second thing that can be very helpful is to invoke a certain kind of light codes, or what I call a specific kind of codes called flames. So these flames are especially useful and helpful to cleanse the imprint that this entity have created. And thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Joyce. That's so kind. Thank you for the donation. That's so sweet. And yeah, you need to cleanse these imprints that they've created, because sometimes what can happen is you can remove the entity, but then they leave over this residual, right? They leave over these residual energy. So invoking a flame can be really helpful. A really helpful flame to work with is called the obsidian flame. So it's like if you were to take obsidian crystal but liquefy it, and also make it in density wise much lighter. So it's a black color flame that has this obsidian frequency. Another one that I like to use is the silver flame or the angel flame. The angel flame is usually white. So white flame or the silver flame. Silver flame in itself is very much designed to protect you from astral entities. So I love working with silver flame and white flame for that very reason. The next thing is use what you have to neutralize the portal. So usually when the entity has merged and find its way in the deeper layers of your aura, it has created like a weak spot, or like a hole in your aura. So we need to close that portal, because what happens to a lot of people is that they will remove the entity, but they forgot to close the portals. And so they can remove, and then the entity just loop back and come back through that same portal. You have to close the portal, but you don't close it right away. You have to do some specific work first. The first thing is to neutralize it. Neutralize it if you guys are Reiki healers. You know, in level 2 in Yusui lineage, there is Hasho Ashonan, that symbol, right? Hasho Ashonan. You can use Hasho Ashonan on and visualize it or draw it on the portal. And give it time. Don't just draw it and like close it. Right? Sometimes spiritual healing takes some time to seep into the other dimension. So write the symbol until you feel or sense a sense of neutrality, as in you're not feeling energy coming back and forth between the portal. You feel that a gate has been created and this portal has been neutralized. So you can use a symbol like that. If you have taken some of my other courses, like the Dragon Light Codes course, you can use some of the Dragon Codes as well. If you've taken, what are some other courses? The Wing Makers, there's a lot of light codes in the Wing Makers as well that can assist with that. But yeah, Reiki level 2 symbol. Or what you can do if you have not done training yet is you can visualize, what would be a good one? Okay. You want to visualize like a grid or gate that looks something like a waffle. You know, the waffle, the grid that they have? So something like that, but in gold or silver. So something like that on the portal to close it or neutralize it. The next step is to close the portal. So when you close the portal, you need assistance from dimensional beings to do that. So either you call for an ascended master or an archangel that you work with to help close that portal because they are masters of this dimension. So ask them to help you close the portal. You can ask them to neutralize the portal as well. And then the closing of the portal sometimes cannot be completed because either there's some karmic lesson that you haven't mastered yet from this experience, so that the master is like, we can't fully close this. We can quarantine or neutralize the portal, but there's still something that you need to learn. And they look at this portal, this being like a negative teacher. What is it trying to bring to you as a message? Maybe is you have been not honoring your boundary. You are giving too much to the point of toxicity and sacrifice. So this being is coming to you and say, yeah, you have this pattern. You need to work on it. I need to give you this push to work on it. And maybe if the masters were just to remove it so easily, you would just revert back to the same state. So to them in the master's eyes, they kind of say, well, we can't just remove it. Can help them, but they still have to become that self-empowered healer, right? The alchemist, the sovereign healer themselves. It's just like when we parents, right? We look at our kid and you're like, yeah, that may not be a good idea, but I'm going to let you try first. I'm going to be here to hold you while you climb this chair, but I'm going to catch you if you fall. But, it's kind of like that. It's the same thing. They're like almost like a loving parent just guiding us on our journey. Yeah, so those are the main steps that I think would really help you have a more wholesome experience when removing astral entities. So let me know if you have any questions, if you feel like I need to explain more on certain concepts as well. Let's see. Feel that there's a lot of trickster energy. That definitely will happen. And thanks for bringing up that, Lars. The collective is going through a mass lesson right now to release these trickster energy. On Instagram, there's imposters everywhere. So I have to share again. I only have one account, High Priestess Ascension. If anyone else messages you, DM you for readings, for money, for whatever, it's not me. And that's happening to a lot of light workers like Elizabeth Seraphim, right? Elizabeth April. They all struggle with these imposters. And these are the energies that we're learning to decipher. And it's really good that you guys are here to learn about how to cleanse this, because you might not need this now, but you might know someone that need this later on. So it's like an investment in your spiritual education right now. um, Woke up and sometimes see red astral spiders. Okay. Yes, I agree. As Secrets of the Star, I do see that the black ones are definitely more annoying than the red color spiders. The black ones also moves around. So when you're working with those entities, make sure that you ground them first. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday I was doing a session with one of my students, and I called forth Lord Yeshua and Mother Kuan Yin to assist. So Mother Kuan Yin was showing me what she did first was to create this crystalline network in the body first, so that it grounds and neutralizes that the being. once Mother Kuan Yin finished that, has I noticed that the power of the entity is greatly diminished, maybe 70%. So that may be something that can be helpful to work with. So that code is called crystalline light code, which I have talked about in my other YouTube video. Diamond light codes would be also helpful as well. The crystalline and diamond can be helpful. They work on different layers of the spiritual body. If you're not sure which code to use, just activate both. And some astral projection. Um, thank you for your question, Lilith. So, those of you that are so excited to do astral projection, what I would advise you do is actually use light body activation. So when you do astral projection, you are in the astral realm, but again, it opens you up to a lot of astral beings. When you do light body activation, what it does is your light body is already much more advanced and higher frequency than your astral body. So when you activate your light body, you're in a different wavelength. It's like, the ocean and the air. The astral body is like swimming in the ocean and you're seeing anglerfish, you're seeing sharks, or you see good things too, like, jellyfish or octopus or whales. But when you activate the light body, you're in the air. The density is lighter, is easier to protect, easier to cleanse, easier to work with. So I recommend doing light body activations and using your light body to get into the higher realm. So that might be more effective than astral body projection. Chokuray. Chokuray is the level 1 symbol. You can use Chokuray as well. Absolutely. The only thing with Reiki, sometimes alone is not enough to remove the astral entity, because Reiki is more on life force energy, right? Reiki, Ling Hei, right? That's what is in Asian character, is spirit or soul chi. So it has to work with chi and life force. But these astral entities, they work with like frequency and dimensional energies. So Reiki is good to recharge sometimes, but to do like a through job, light codes would be really helpful for that. Hi, good blooms. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad it's something that is helpful. Um, oh, yes, Trinity Star, I know. Uh, okay, you're welcome. Secrets of the Stars. Marlon, you would like to learn more about the 3 layers of protection. Could you talk a little bit more about them and the differences? Okay, so yes, good question. Thank you. So, spiritual protection. Spiritual protection is something that you build through acts of service, through, if you want like a super boost of spiritual protection, volunteer, regular volunteer work, do massive boost for your vibration and your spiritual protection. So that's number 1. That's also the reason why some of us might not resonate with religion, but that if you see sometimes a lot of religious people, they don't struggle as much with these entities, because um, the structure, right, of the community is very much about service, right? So that's a great boost of spiritual protection right there. Astral protection is more on your astral body. Your astral body is the 4th layer of your non-physical body, right? In this layer of your physical body, you can manifest shields, protection, armors. A lot of people do different stuff, like you can do the cloak again as well. So in this astral body, you can create also protective and defensive weapons. So a lot of the green witches that I have worked with, and when this, that I've learned what they do, because I'm not a green witch, I don't know, is that sometimes they astral travel in their astral armor, and they bind these astral entities, right? So they clean up the astral field, and they are like badass because I'm like, I don't want to do that, or I don't feel strong enough to do that, but they do that. So yeah, so you can have like an arrow that shoots light. You can have a lot of us a staff that has like a flame. A lot of you have like bracelets, or it gets a little bit like very interesting, and like crowns. So you have these like astral protections and weapons where if the entity come too close to you, I've seen some people activate their bracelet, and then there are these fire that comes through, right, and then that lights up throughout the whole body. So these are astral protection also can go much more advanced. Learning how to time weave, time bend can also be a form of astral protection. And for energetic protection is usually the things that you see on YouTube, like when people say use crystals, use your breath, use Reiki, use energy healing. Those are energetic protection. So these are the three components of protection, right, that you can practice. So some of us are very good at energetic protection, right, because we were empaths and we have to survive in this real world, but we might not be as good as spiritual protection. We might not be as good in the astral protection. It's so important to train discernment and sovereignty, easy to be seduced by people that peddle fear and anger and false light. That is so true. I feel that there's like, it hurts my heart, but I had to unfollow some people on Instagram because they were like attacking other light workers. I'm like, but why? What do you get out of this? And they were just making videos and videos attacking different light workers. I'm like, fine, if you don't agree with them, just scroll past these. Why do you have to attack people's way of working with the light? It's really messy, the energy. So yeah, discernment and just us upholding as best that we can authenticity, purity is the best we can do. So yeah, so thanks for being part of the team, guys. Let's see. Um, can you teach us how to use pyramid energy in Merkaba? Absolutely. So, pyramid energy in Merkaba is also a very foundational way of protection. So, a lot of you, when you are in like the stage one of your initiation, you see a lot of pyramids, right? Pyramid of light, you see the Merkaba. That's like a really foundational way of activating your light body. Once you start activating these templates, though, you go to a higher templates. You go into the diamond light body, you go into the crystalline light body, you go into the liquid gold body, the celestial body, and so forth. So maybe we can, in the next session, live on YouTube, we can do like a workshop on pyramid energy and Merkaba, because actually I have gotten like 2 or 3 people ask me this question. So it seems like something that people are interested in. So, sneak peek, the Merkaba, when you activate more and more, it creates more points and angles. It creates more fractals until it becomes like the celestial beaming of a light body. It's like, Christmas stars, you see some of the Christmas light, they are just like many, many pointed star and just like Christ light. So that's the foundation, the Merkaba, and then it evolved into that Christ light. Okay. And let me see, just catching up here. Hi, Amber. Absolutely, feel free to ask. Flying Rainbow Lasagna Flying Rainbow Lasagna. That's an interesting channel name. Thank you for sharing, Joyce. Is there a specific master or archangel that stands for protection, aside from Archangel Michael's sword? So, for protection, Archangel Michael is one. If that astral entity have more to do with your karmic lesson, you can invite the karmic masters like Saint Germain, Mother Kuan Yin, Lord Yeshua or Jesus, Those are my two go figures, master to go. It's like, hey, it's me again. Like it's me. I've come here. So they know me very well by now. Witches sounds like Wonder Woman. They are, and I feel the witch wound, guys. The witch wound. Ah, we're working on that because the witches that I know are so powerful, but we have all been burned and killed, and and it's really beautiful that more and more of you guys are coming out. You guys are on YouTube, you guys are on Instagram. I know sometimes it's hard for us to be in those places, but we got to tip the scale. We got to bring some more light into the world. Could you give us an update on the upcoming solar eclipse and lunar eclipse? Absolutely. So there has been a new portal, or an upgraded portal called the crystalline portal that has opened. There's also been the Lemurian pathway that has reopened as well. It's always constantly open, but I find that the portal is like view, like powered up. So lately, I have a lot of people messaging me about Lemuria. I've also started to download another course. Yay! I'm teaching the Dragon Lights Codes class now, but I'm already channel the materials for my next training program is Lemurian Rose Light Codes. So my current priestesses that are training with me, you'll have access to that course, and I'll open it up to the public as well. So that's coming, I'm hoping, in November. So the upcoming eclipse energy brings forth those uh, opening of the portals, but also these eclipses are bringing forth I want to say, wisdom portal that will help you face your deepest fears when it comes to embodying your mission as a light worker. So if your deepest fear of being a light worker is shame, or if your deepest fear is being visible, if your deepest fear is that what you have to say is not important enough, these eclipses are going to bring those parts of you up. So if those imprints are coming forth, just know that is coming up for a reason of purging, and that is happening not only to yourself, but to a lot of light workers that I have been talking to. So yeah, that's a quick feeling that I'm getting. I also feel 2 days ago, around the 24th, there has been a blast of Christ energy as well. So it's really, really beautiful. There was a big cleanup in the astral realm. So that has been happening. A lot of things happens in this multidimensional world. There's always something happening. And I guess the biggest message is, guys, focus on your light work, right? I know even now you're listening to me, but I want to listen from you. I want to listen your videos. Like, people share with me your videos all the time. I want to hear from you. If it's a writing, it's a poetry, if it's like an art piece, like, we want to hear from you. Um, a lot of times, sometimes, because of how social media is structured, a lot of I find people are forced or have this pressure to create content, and they will either tip into the fear side, or they will start to say things that are like a repeat of things. Have you noticed, guys? Like, let's be honest, okay? Spiritual shadow, every single time it's big wave of energy is coming. Oh, these portals open again. It's the same thing. I'm like, the portals have always been opening. It's like big wave of energy comes every few days. It's the same thing. So we can make fun of ourselves as spirit in the spiritual community that we say these things all the time. So if they happen all the time, then right now it's time for us to take care of ourselves, take care of your physical body, express your light work, focus on that light work. And I also myself, guys, I struggle with my own shadow still. Sometimes I'm like, can I really share my course? Would people think I'm marketing myself? What if someone made a mean comment about, if I'm, a greedy person or something? And it comes out, guys, but I still sit down and I do it. So it's not like, oh, I need to wait till I get to like this level before I share my light. A lot of the other well-known YouTubers or healers that you know that I also am friends with, they struggle too. They might not show it on their channel, but trust me, they struggle. So you don't have to wait until you're like at a certain, oh, I need to know what these people are talking about, the diamond gateway, before I am a light worker. No, you are a light worker already. So yeah. Metatron. Yeah, Archangel Metatron is also very powerful. Question: when you're channeling, what language are you speaking in? Usually, when I'm channeling, there's a few things. It could be light language, if it's like a light language transmission. Sometimes will most likely be telepathic messages. So I work with a lot of clients, and I find this happen with I want to say a lot of guys that I know, you guys are very clear cognizant. And so when we work with a lot of male students that I have, I would receive from the higher self and the guides clear cognizant messages or telepathic messages. And because I'm more clairvoyant, I would have to translate it first. I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm getting. This is how I need to translate the image that I'm seeing. So usually it's telepathic, which is beyond language, but a lot of times is an image or English. But sometimes my dragon guides will talk to me in Chinese, actually, because I have background in Chinese and Vietnamese. I don't know too much Vietnamese, but the dragons would teach me light codes actually in Chinese. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Do people even want to learn the Chinese version? So actually, in the Dragon Light Code course, a lot of the codes I just teach in the light language format, but a lot of them they taught me to me in like a Chinese first. So it's interesting that they bring forth. And the last video I did with Dragon Light codes, the emotional healing one, the code came as a Chinese language first. They gave me the writing, the word. They're like, it's changing some. It means like very pure, very peaceful heart, right? And then I'm like, okay, maybe I should just do this in English so people understand. Master Saint Germain, yes, Master Saint Germain is the regent of the Violet Flame, so he's always a good person to go to. I mean, a good master to go to. Master Kuan Yin was the previous regent of the Violet Flame, so she is also a good ascended master to go to. Hi, Charlotte. Nice to see you. Yeah, no worries. Catch the replay if you need to. I'm just answering questions right now. Hi, Anna. Hi, Jasmine. Thank you. I'm glad it was helpful. Um, can't wait for the Lemurian course. Me too. I'm going to give you a sneak peek. It's going to be 12 Lemurian rose codes. So 12 light codes to work with. Um, hmm. Maybe the next video I'm going to explain each of the lineage. A lot of people ask me, can you tell me more about Lemuria? So maybe we can do that in the next video. I needed to hear this, being scared to start releasing videos. Don't be scared, Jasmine. Trust me, before I sit down, it takes me 3 hours to mentally prepare myself because I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. But you know what the good news is, guys, is that YouTube usually you find really kind people like you guys because it's based on search, right? So people that search for light codes and light language will find YouTube videos from other light workers. Whereas I find that sometimes when you share on Facebook or Instagram, it's not very much of a search library. So anyone can see your post and I get more of the mean comments from Instagram or Facebook than YouTube. So, yeah, if you're like me, like introverted and more sensitive, start with YouTube first because people on YouTube is nicer. Um, hmm, let's see. Love the one to Merkaba activation this weekend. Oh, that's amazing. Mhm. Oh, yes, to the Chinese version. Okay, got it. Next time I will share the Chinese version as well. I can teach you guys how to write it in Chinese too, so you get the Chinese version and the light language version. How about the energies and about the energies and open portals? Kind of like weather report, sensationalism with words, learn behavior that we use. Yeah, that's so true. That's why I don't do a lot of the upcoming energy. I will do it sometimes, but I don't want to distract people. I'm like, you know what? We gotta focus. I gotta focus. So uh, that would be interesting for me too, because Lemuria has come up in my consciousness also. Oh, that's amazing. Um, love Kuan Yin, yay! That's amazing. Not sure if I've talked about vampires. So, are we talking about physical vampires? Are we talking about energy vampires? Hopefully, there's no physical vampires around our lives, but I think you're talking about energy vampires, but energy vampires, right? Or dark entities? Yeah, in the astral. Yes, yeah. So some of them that are even more advanced than like the spider or the gremlin, they take a form that can look like a vampire. I have seen some demonic entities that actually looks like those demons, like they have like a weird head, and you're like, oh, please. Oh. And I'll be honest with you guys. Sometimes when I see those, I'm like, I should have charged double for this because it's very, very hard to deal with those uh, demonic kind of entities. It knocks me out the whole day after. I'm like, I couldn't move, I couldn't eat, and you're just like, yeah, I deal with the entity, but I suffered after for it. And I know a lot of people kind of bypass it and be like, "Oh, if you're so powerful, it should be easy." It's like, no, it takes energy. So that's why after that, I'm like, I'm gonna charge for services, even if it's sliding scale, because it is an energy exchange. So I'm just talking, just being honest here. So, um, but the vampires, yes. So because they are more advanced form of entities, what I notice with these beings, if you invite the ascended master to come in and mediate the situation, those beings sometimes transform. And sometimes they transform into like a brighter being. They might not bother you anymore, but they might change into like different type of being, like a lower elemental being, like a lower elemental, and then they would go on to the next stage of their soul journey in the elemental realm and learn in that realm. So anything can happen when you work with these entities. So very, 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 very interesting. Extra garlic. I agree, Lars. Garlics are very good. So yeah, so if you are dealing with those type of entities, so another thing that you just reminded me of is when you're dealing with harder to remove astral entities, look into your Akash. There might be some inorganic timeline where you have some type of a connection. And I'm not saying you, it could be you, or it could be from your family lineage where they have played around with black magic or blood magic. So if anyone is dealing with vampires, it might be somewhere in your ancestry line. Someone have dealt with blood magic, so you would need to go back to that lifetime or invite the ancestors to come if they're willing to come and heal to dissolve the bond, the contract of those blood magic. I personally don't touch blood magic. I don't know black magic, so I can't really say how it works. But I just ask the higher realm to help mediate the situation. And sometimes what I would see is I would see like the blood that is inside these beings being sucked out by the masters of light. It will be purified by Kuan Yin or whoever master, and it will be either released depending on the contract, or it would be crystallized and upgraded and returned to the person. So that can happen. With some black magic I have seen, there was a certain item, and this item in that lifetime bonded that person to that magic. And sometimes it's not because you were that magic user, but it's because in that lifetime there was no internet. You can't really learn from other people. You have, like, for example, someone's kid was sick, very sick. If you are a parent, you would do anything to help that kid. Sometimes we might fall prey because we're innocent and pure people to users in that lifetime that were black magic users, but we didn't know. So in this lifetime, we know. So then in this lifetime, you just release that and you'll be like, okay, I don't need that power anymore. I'm going to reclaim my power. And I'm going to release that bond, that soul contract. But because the soul contract was done through that user and you, right? You need to ask for a karmic master like Saint Germain, Kuan Yin, or Jesus to mediate that karma. See what I'm saying? So that what I've seen before is like a cord being cut, or the item that was used for a bondage was crushed and completely dissolved. So that can happen as well. Um, Hi, Yanni. Nice to see you. Oh, you love Kuan Yin too? Oh, me too. She's like, always right here. I've been afraid of seeing dark entities. It can be sometimes, but I would say, out of the 8 years of my practice, I've only seen those demonic entities maybe in one or twice in certain people. So that's good, right? And if you ever is afraid, and if you ever seen them, you just use a flame again to burn away the image of those beings, and so it doesn't affect you on the energetic level or emotionally. A choice, you taught me dragons are real up a while back. Yes, dragons are real. They were once physically in this planet, but they are no longer here physically on the planet, but they are here in other dimensions. So it's okay, don't worry. My dad makes fun of me too. He's like, yeah, this girl thinks dragon is real, aliens are real. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? And I just joke around too. I'm like, how so silly, but it makes my life more interesting. I used to see shadow spirits as a teen and then shut down and cut up my spiritual gifts. They came back strongly in my 30s. Oh, that's really beautiful. Yeah, I'm sorry, Charlotte. Sometimes with really psychic children, there's no like nurturing system, right? It's not like, oh, wow, let's teach them psychic protection. Let's teach them about their gifts. It's just like, oh, teach them about calculus. Things that we don't use that often. So that's my other project is I think that's a project that a lot of light workers have that have become parents, is that we want to bring these teachings to the next generation. I think it's important that we understand and talk about how powerful we are and learn and teach from each other to feel safe and empowered. Yes, absolutely. So thank you. Yay. Um, oh, very, very interesting. Have you guys ever had people around you that are scared, afraid of smudging? Like in the First Nations, they use sage. In Asian culture, we use sandalwood. In other cultures, I know they use oud and other things as well. Sometimes that can also be a small indication of some blockages. So, Charlotte, same. Oh, yeah. So, Jasmine, same thing. So, yeah, let's make it part of the Lightworker agenda. Nurture children's psychic abilities. Hmm. Oh yeah, the hospital. I had to give birth in the hospital. I tried a home birth. It didn't work for me. Too much trauma. So my body wasn't able to fully let go. But I ended up in the hospital, and I also know why I ended up in the hospital is to see how horrifying the hospital treats birthing women. And I'm like, these people need like priestesses. These people need like elders here. um, but yeah, hospitals, we need to hire like 20 spiritual masters in hospitals to cleanse, to do rites of passage and so forth. But we are so behind in this type of practices. That's why so many light workers right now, we're just so ahead of our time. It's like these are our careers, but they have not recognized us yet. So we're waiting, we're creating, we are building. We saw them in Astral. I'm so scared. Oh, yeah. Sometimes what you can do is train yourself to like fight back. I get a lot of like comments like, "Oh, you shouldn't fight back if you're a light worker. Just send them love and don't fight them." It depends on the person. So if you were someone like me who had your power constantly oppressed, if you were abused over and over in your childhood, you lack a lot of power. And so actually the karmic lesson for people like us is to fight that entity, is to say, no more. You cannot be in my field and you have to leave my field. Like actually that is them training us to be stronger. So I get that some people is like, just send them love and light and they'll go away. For some entities, it works if they are responsive to that. But for some of us, the lesson of those entities is to train us like a warrior to be stronger. So I don't know if you read my story on Facebook. After I gave birth, I became more savage. But there was this crazy person yelling like like really racist comments and swear words towards my face. And I had my daughter with me at that time. Before I became a mother, I would just like probably smile awkwardly and just slowly recede. But because I became a mother, the mother bear came out with a mother dragon, and I yelled at him so loud. I was like, "Get out of my face right now! Get away from my baby and I." And like, even though I know that person has entities around him, that's why he's acting this way. My karmic lesson is that that was what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to stand in my power and protect my baby. And so, yeah, that is something that, it's spiritual healing is very personal. So when you hear advices, you have to practically apply it to yourself and be like, okay, well, does that work for me right now in this situation? Um, so that would be helpful for you to, you guys to practice. Just like me, I'm still practicing. Didn't know I can open portals. Oh, Sarah, yes, there's a lot of grid workers. A lot of you have past life where you have opened portals. A lot of you guys know how to close portals. So that is really beautiful. Is it the same as about trolls and Nordic creatures as dragons? You no longer physically here, but once were. Yeah, very similar. I think even what we call like Yeti or Bigfoot as well, they just in another dimension. And I don't blame them for wanting to hide from us. If I was a Yeti, I would probably want to hide too. Be like, these people, I'm just minding my own business and they captured me in a cage. What is the purpose of dragon blood sage? Oh, is that an herb? I have not heard about it. I've heard about dragon blood resin, but I have not heard about dragon blood sage. So I believe you can use dragon blood resin in creating potions, herbs, spray, and essence. Um, that's something that you can use it for. I have not used it myself. I do have a bag of it, the resin, but I haven't used it myself, so I can't comment too much on the dragon blood resin. I usually, yeah, like Jennifer, like you, I use frankincense, I use angelica, Palo Santo. Yes, Joyce, I also use Palo Santo as well. Sandalwood. Gonna mix a little bit of my Asianness in there, It's like energy hygiene is important. Yeah, very, very true. This needs to be taught, and because it's not taught in the masses, we struggle so much as a race. And then again, if you're like a dark master and you want to have power, why would you teach these people how to defend themselves, right? And of course, you would oppress the First Nations, you would oppress people because they were the keepers original of this land. So I live in Canada, that's why I talk about this. And side note is like when I was born in Canada, but then I lived in Asia for a little bit to learn about my culture. And when I came back to Canada, I was like, how come there's no mentions of like First Nations? Like, how is that even a thing? Like, they are the keepers of this land. And it's so weird how like these elites have created such trauma in all of us. How can we help those who went under the influence of alcohol, hear voices, and almost impossible, almost possessed? How can we be of service? Things in advance. That is really, really hard. But this really beautiful, Belen. You have the heart to want to help them. Even ascended master themselves cannot help those ones that don't want to be helped. So what we can do is we can model and we can show them and share with them, plant a seed of this is what you can do, this is what I can help you do, these are some of the resources I can point you to when you feel ready. It's a really complex addiction, right? Alcohol, but it's possible to release it. So the first thing I would advise is to just share with them inner child work, shadow work. If they are more like they need tangible things, the holistic psychologist, have you guys heard of her on Instagram? I know some people was like, oh, she's this, or that, but her page is really helpful. So look past of her, people and just let people express their own work. So maybe check out that page because I think the way she speaks to a lot of people. Um, hmm. Oh, you were a labor and delivery nurse. Oh my goodness. Wow. Bless your soul. Oh, it's like so beautiful to see a newborn. Yeah. For me, it's like they didn't even let me touch my baby. Like I birthed this baby, and the doctor I had didn't even want to let me touch my own baby. Like, he acted like he was the one that gave birth to the baby. He didn't even say congratulations. He almost didn't let my husband cut the cord. He judged us, and he like I'm Asian, and that person was like, I think very certain program. They think like, oh, these Asian people don't know their things or they're not educated. And he was just like, you tried a home birth? You're so lucky you even have a healthy baby. And I was like, it's okay. These people don't know. Just do your thing. So I think that being in labor and delivery is such a beautiful blessing. But oftentimes misused in our dimension. I'm going to try home birth again next time. And pray for me, guys. Next time, I don't ask much. But next time when I get pregnant, pray for me. So, yay. Any other questions? I'll probably close the session soon to honor your time because I know you guys are busy too. Hmm. Dark arts training. Yeah, I like that. Dark arts training. Yeah. We gotta be badass sometimes. Sometimes. And you just know, guys, I'm like you, very soft, very kind. And if you ever had to defend yourself to that degree, you just know you have done all that you can and you tried everything you can. And it just reached the point where you need to be be a badass. So only people who love, honor, and respect me are welcome within my energetic boundaries. If you're not capable of that, then you're not welcome, or add or change however you feel comfortable. Yeah, that's a really good affirmation. Oh, Charlotte, that's horrible. I'm so sorry you have to go through that. Yeah, we need to change the way hospital run things, but they don't care because the people that are up there, they don't care. I have gone through the rabbit hole of women with birth trauma. The hospitals just don't care, unfortunately. Maybe individual nurses, individual doctors that are light workers care, but the system doesn't care. Motherhood changes us in so many beautiful ways. That's so true. And I'm very honored I can even have a daughter because for the longest time, I thought that no wouldn't even be a thing. So, uh, sandalwood is great. Also agree. Oh, you're from Canada to Jasmine. That's so cool. Oh, Charlotte, I'm also in Toronto. Yay! Thank you, Joyce. What are the different color dragons? Any colors. Dragons can change colors too. They can change state. Some dragons are chromatic, some dragons are crystalline, some dragons are etheric, some dragons are bioplasma, some dragons are elemental. So they change colors, they can be of different colors, they can be of different substance, or what do you guys call it? Like, yeah, the makeup of their non-physical body. So, yeah. So your dragon's color can change as they age as well. I find that as I work with my dragons as they grow, their colors sometimes get a little darker, sometimes get a little bit more crystalline. So just like how you grow, they grow as well. And do they give you anything such as an amulet? Yes, they do. So a lot of times when you work with high dimensional beings, they will give you an amulet. However, just make sure you discern the energy before you receive something from a light being. Usually, from my experience, the light being won't just come in and be like giving you something right away. The light beings will prime you to a state where you actually may even ask for it, and then they would just give the blessing to you. I'll give you an example. If you work with ascended masters a lot, they might give you um, flowers, but those flowers are vibrationally blessings. These are virtues. So when you see flowers falling down upon you, I have broken down in tears. I have seen clients broken down in tears, how beautiful that whole experience is. It's a true blessing from the higher realm. Um, Honey as well. Sometimes I see like these honey droplets is a form of light codes that comes in. I will teach more about that in the Wingmakers. So the Wingmaker is going to be a certification course as well. So those of you that are listening, that are existing students, is going to be a certification program process if you want to become certified. So I'm going to teach more light codes about that too. Just maybe 3 or 4 more. There's already 16 in the course, so it's a lot. Um, Perhaps you'll be a trauma healer. The birthing energy one is very real and doesn't need psycho-spiritual. That's true. Guys, we signed up for this, didn't we? We're like, yeah, I want to be a healer. It feels so fulfilling. But then you're like, ah, crap. Oh my goodness. You're like, oh, I signed up for these difficult experiences, so I know what it's like. Ah, I love pearlescence. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I work with pearlescence like codes a lot as well. Thank you. I feel like a blue flame white lightning dragon, a blue flame white lightning dragon. Those are very beautiful. Those dragons work with the orbs of emancipation. If you want to learn more, Amber, try to search up one of my video on my channel, the orbs of emancipation. That is a dragon light code, and it sounds like that's the code your dragon has. Hi, Blue Flower Moon. Welcome. Sarah, how can I connect with my dragon? There are many ways, but dragons are a little bit, can be in our perspective, um, um, tougher teachers. They are a little less emotional than we are. Like when you work with angels, they work in the emotional realm a lot, right? But dragons work in the mental realm a lot. So the first thing to connect with dragon is to work on your mental body. So training your mind to be more focused, rather is through like I don't know, doing exercise so that you can focus more. Which bring me to another point that these reels and TikTok horrible, horrible for the next generation, horrible for us, and it's going into TikTok or Reels is like going into the astral realm unprotected. You don't know what the next thing is going to be, and it overwhelms you with all these information, and it's just so bad. So, to connect with dragons, maybe try to see in your daily life how you can build your focus. Um, and also, dragon initiations can feel like it takes much longer compared to angelic initiations. Dragons, like, to for me to teach that dragon like course, they were like working with me for like a year and a half at least, that I consciously am aware of. So yeah, so be patient when working with your dragon. And the dragon, you also will usually show you just one part of their body because their light body is so large, like an ascended master or archangel. So they might show you just an eye. They might just show you like a part of their wing. A lot of time you see the eye. They also, I find that dragons initiate people in their dream time as well. So before I started teaching the class, before I received the full initiation to be a teacher of the code, I went into my dream realm twice. The first one was passing through shadow work into this tower, right? Where I was finally able to make it to the top. Once I was able to make it to the top, I saw a statue, a golden dragon statue, but it was not activated. It was maybe 2, 3 weeks later that I have the same dream where I'm at the top. I was seeing other dragon statues, and the one that calls to me, my teacher, the gold one, finally lit up and it becomes this huge dragon, almost like Dragon Ball Z, that huge dragon, and he just looked at me with these eyes, and he went like, and then I don't remember what happened next, but they will activate you in these types of experiences. So maybe practice dream journaling, practice yeah, dream journaling, and also like what you're doing now, Sarah, just working with other dragon souls, other people that work with dragon, is like you are in this field. It's like, oh, if I want to swim in this lake, then be with the people that are already in the lake, so that can help as well. Max, hello, Tiffin. During trauma, they got some negative attached to my solar plexus. They always kind of go to that area. I find like solar plexus or the throat. First, I fed it with low vibration, and I'm fine. I'm going to quote weakens any comments or suggestion. Um, okay. So Max, it sounds like you're doing exactly what I would do in your situation. Is just continue working on raising my own vibration, and it's like a balance, like shadow work, light work, physical work, shadow work, physical, light work. It's kind of like always this like pendulum. So I would say if the cord weakens, then excellent. Um, Catch up to the beginning of this video or replay. There might be something that you haven't thought of that I might have mentioned that just go bing, and that might be the piece of puzzle that you're missing. And if not, feel free to email me on my website, highpriestessascension.com, to let me know. Yeah. Jennifer been told I have 3 dragons working with me. Pink Venetian dragon. green water dragon, white dragon. Oh, that's so cool. I have a pink one too, but it's like a fledgling. My golden dragon mentor is that fledgling. Sometimes I see a dragon in my meditation. Yeah, see, when you're training your mind, they come to you. Um, I've been told the one likes glitter as an offering. Yeah, glitter can be too. Glitter are oftentimes light codes. I feel dragons demand more discipline and devotion. Yes, I agree. Dragons do demand more discipline and devotion. Um, Mainly more discipline, I would say, than others. It's not that they are less loving or less powerful. It's just that that's the values they uphold. And yeah, and all of us can use some reminders of discipline. Me too. The dragons, interestingly, they trying to train me with my physical body. They're like, you need to work out more. And I'm like, but I don't like working out. Uh, Angels are supposedly made by God to help us. So big difference, I guess. Yeah, I would say angels and dragons are all made by God. We are too. And I'm sure, Star, you are elemental or angelic or Elohim or dragon aspect somewhere, aspect of you somewhere. And yeah, but angels have been working with us for a very long time. So I think that's why we feel more connected to them. I only see parts of the dragon. Yes, yeah, yeah. So once you are ready, they will show you more. So they really care about you, right? These dragons, they're not going to overwhelm you. They don't want to give you too much that you can handle. So seeing a part doesn't mean that you are blocked or doesn't mean that you are less powerful. It just means that they're giving you small pieces of the cookie at a time. You know, when you eat too much cookie at a time, it can be too sweet. So a little bit at a time makes life more interesting too. How do you unlock past life dimensional memory? Past life, so you can do it a few ways. Different people do it different ways. You can go through the crystal cave in Mother Earth. There's a crystal cave in our solar system. I think it's on Neptune. Uh, yeah, I don't go there a lot. That's why I don't know which, but I think it's on Neptune. Um, there is also through your Akashic records, through your higher self, through your DNA as well. So there are many ways to unlock your past life dimensional memories. Maybe Amber tried the starseed activation video I did. It's also alive like this. Maybe that will help you activate some things there. I have two tattoos on me that were freestyled by artists different years, and people basically told them just do you. And told me 10 years really they did dragon tattoo. Whoa, that's so boom, mind blowing. Amazing. I love biodegradable degradable glitter. I know, right? Like light codes are totally biodegradable. I find my dragons to be stern and straightforward. They can be, some of them can be, but some of them can be very funny. Ah, yes, yes, I'm just reading. Just very comical and hilarious at times. It's awesome. Sometimes you find, guys, when you work with dragons, that you start speaking in poems, in songs, or in rhymes. Very interesting. And I find a lot of times the conversations I have with dragon guys don't even make sense in this realm. Like you can't even really process it and put it into one dimensional words. You're just like, okay, whoa, oh, wow, cool, got it. I guess I saw the energy around me before I did. Yeah, yeah, we are more powerful than we give ourselves credit. Wondering if it's happening to me, but I'm not sure. It might be, Amber. If you are on this path being curious, it can be happening already. I'm 44 working out. It's a struggle. Yeah. Add a baby in there too. It's like I feel you. I feel you. Is hard, but I try. Sometimes I just do like 10 minutes here and there. I don't know if you guys know, I'm like really tiny. I'm actually just like 100 pounds. So, uh, um, no, as in they were meant to help us. Other types of spirit are bound to help us. That's true. That's true. I love dragons in the elemental world. They're so fascinating. Me too. My soul actually came from the elemental world, so I feel more at home there. Do you guys sometimes think to yourself and be like, where should I go after this lifetime? Should I go back to Arcturus? Should I go to Pleiades and party with my Pleiadian starseed friends? Or should I go back to the elemental realm? Um, Having memories and downloads. Yeah, that's good. If you're seeing memories, if you're seeing downloads, that's the doors opening after the Merkaba activation. Awesome, Amber. So you are doing the activation correctly. So, wow, I'm so excited for you. I remember being at that stage. So exciting. Thank you, Yenny. Thank you. Um, Works out looks easy. Back pain. Oh, what is that called? A kaju dai? Oh, is that workout? I think I've met dragon humans here. There's energy in here in their voice. Yeah, you can kind of like, when we talk about dragons here, guys, we're talking about like good dragons. We're not talking about like reptilian dragons, although they do exist. And even I don't want to see them. I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, we're talking about good dragons here. Yeah, you can kind of feel them, right? You can kind of feel their vibration. On the soul level, you probably can recognize them too. Um, really, Yanni, you would come back again? I would come back, but I think I would want to come back in the higher dimensions. I'm like, I'm going to have a vacation in my next lifetime. Question. Hi, Ray. Can astral entities have control over your physical body? Unfortunately, if left unchecked for a very long time, it can have that type of effect on the physical body. So, someone that is experience symptoms on that stage, um, one of again, like I said, the spiritual practice, like volunteering, can really help clear that very fast. Working with a spiritual healer. And I say a healer that is not the most powerful healer. You don't need the most powerful healer to help you. It's the most genuine healer to help you. So, and I know a lot of you guys that are healers. So, any genuine healers that can guide you through the process can be helpful. Also, when it gets to the physical body, at that point, you want to spend more time in sacred places. So, you might want to go to a nearby Buddhist temple more often. The entities cannot enter the temple. So when you are in the temple, you actually get a break from that being. And then the more that you go to these temples, the more that you go to these sacred places, the less that the being has a hold on you. So a lot of people, when they message me and say, I have all these physical, really dire situation, I say, this one session is not enough. I need you to also go to these temples, even if you don't believe in that religion, but you need to be in that space to volunteer, or you need to be in that space just to be in that light, feel and take a break from that entity. So yeah, just have to be honest. That is homework. It's homework that we have to do when we are releasing entities at that level. So, mhm. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. Oh, you've been a dancer. Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that has happened. Are you healing well though? Like, is your physical body still healing? Hmm. have had possession experience having in my body thoughts initiating by another being. Not fun. Absolutely. I've seen that happen to a lot of people as well. It's not fun. And the good news is it's releasable, it's healable. So, wherever you're at on your journey, struggling with that, or maybe you're very lucky you don't have to struggle with that, just know that it's possible to release it. It takes time. And sometimes, with various factors as well, can make the recovery faster or not, right? If you have a very supportive family, all the better. If your family is not even supportive, or if you don't have family, be gentle on yourself, have grace. This is something that you are training, right, through this experience. So, yeah, I don't want to say shouldn't blame yourself, shouldn't victim blame yourself if that is what you're struggling. You never know what you were born into, right? The lineage that you were born into, and so forth. So, yeah. Body has been aching crazy during these activations. If that happens, sometimes it could be helpful to do like an Epsom salt bath to open your energy centers and just intuitively follow your meridian line. So go on Google, meridian lines, follow the lines, and the places that have pain usually have stuckness. You want to press on it or massage or send healing or light codes to those points just to open up the channels, and the pain should slowly subside over time when you practice. I've had a few insane experiences while I'm sleeping, but the norm is I don't remember a thing. How can I remember more? I'm wondering if my higher self thinks it will distract me. Um, yeah, so sleep journal, Kathleen, would be really helpful. I had a sleep journal. Now I don't because I have a toddler, so I just sleep when I can. But before, if you can, having a dream journal would be really helpful. And also, what is helpful sometimes is I get a lot of clients that ask me this: "Oh, I have this experience in my dream. What does it mean?" So we would go back into a meditation state and we would unlock the experience from the dream realm. So that's something that is can you can try too. Is once you have time, get into a meditation with the intention to unfold your dream. And then over time, it takes time, you will slowly be able to remember more details about your dreams. Uh, Sarah wanted to be a fairy. I would too. I want to be a flower fairy. I want to make flowers. I want to create flowers in different dimensions. No problem, Lauren. Thank you for joining. So we'll close today's session today. Hope it has been helpful. And just know that I am not perfect. And so you don't have to worry about being perfect light worker. We need to have grace for ourselves. So just know that you are very pure, you're a good person, you do your best every day. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. So, sending you so much love, everyone. Thanks for joining in with this beautiful community of light workers with kindred souls of different realms, different dimensions to bring in light and love. And as usual, if you would like to work more with me, feel free to check out some of my offerings, my courses. Some of them are free. Some of them are just like $40, which are very affordable. Some of them are a little bit around like 100 to 100 range, which are the certifications and then mentorship as well. So yeah, it'll be cool to work with each other. But as always, everything that's offered here is unconditional. And thank you for creating an experience where I can experience myself as a mentor, a helper as well. So thank you. So much love. Bye, everyone.